Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Miles Culture Plate. It's time for a rant. I'm I'm upset, and I'm going to use my channel to vent about what I'm upset about because I think right now there's a lot of people upset, and I have some issues going on in my personal life and in my career that have kind of triggered this, but I think there's a conversation to be had culture wide. And so you see the title of the video here, and you see the words on the screen. Responsibility. What is it? For several years now, we've been hearing a debate about what rape culture is and who's responsible for it and what parts of society are responsible for the cure, so to speak, and teach boys not to rape and this and that, and don't victim blame. And I've got to say, I really think that there's an aspect of that conversation that gets lost. It's we have a zero sum game. Forgive me if I'm ranting a little bit, but it's a zero sum game. So the idea is that if you make a victim responsible for taking precautions so that they don't become a victim, or or you have an innocent person and you tell them to take precaution, then somehow that shifts the blame to them if something goes wrong. And I think that's a misnomer. I think that confuses the idea of blame with the idea of responsibility. I really think that we all share some sort of responsibility for the safety of our community, for the safety of our children, for the safety of our men and women, and most especially the most especially the safety of ourselves. And when something tragic happens to a person, obviously, obviously, we need to talk about the criminal element, put the blame squarely on the criminal. But I think we could also have a conversation on what we could do as a society to make ourselves less vulnerable to criminals. And I think that's a responsibility issue. I think we share that responsibility upon ourselves. I think we share it with our community, and I think we share it with trying not to breed more criminals into society. So I bring this up because I've recently had an issue at my job. Not a rape issue, not necessarily a violence issue, but just an individual. And we all have known one or two people in our lifetime who refuse to take responsibility for their actions. We have people who in our lives who refuse to grow up, who refuse to accept the consequences of their own mistakes, who will use and manipulate the people around them into helping mitigate the consequences of their mistakes. And it makes me sad how many manipulative people we have in our society. I see it everywhere. You know, some people ask me, you know, why are you so autistic about being an honest person, or so, you know, black and white about things? And honestly, I think I'm the most nuanced. I think from my perspective, and again, perhaps it's the Principal Skinner meme. No, it's the kids who are wrong. Uh, from my perspective, I'm the one trying to see the nuance, and it's everyone else seeing things as black and white. But for me, it's really, if you're an honest person, there are different ways in which you can be an honest person. But if you're dishonest, you're just dishonest, and if you're disloyal, you're just disloyal. There's less nuance to being a not good person. You know, I think if you're an asshole, you're an asshole. And perhaps I'm an asshole. That's fine. You can call me an asshole. You could say that I'm the one with the problem. Sure, I'll accept that. But overall, I had an issue with a coworker, and it wasn't even really my issue. I shouldn't have gotten involved, but when you see human beings dodge responsibilities, flagrantly break rules and laws, and you kind of wonder, is this person on drugs? Does this person not see how their very existence and the way they operate on a day-to-day basis is a slap in the face to everyone else who's trying to do the right thing? Which brings me to this whole abortion debate that's been going around. You know, all the nuances, all the arguments that get made about rape and incest and the health of the mother. And, the one thing that people refuse to talk about is, do we take some kind of responsibility for our own actions? For a long time, I blamed myself for putting my abuser on a pedestal and wanting her to be happy, for trying to see through her abuse in a way where, again, way too many people in our culture think they can fix someone who has bad behavior. We think we could fix someone who's manipulating us or abusing the system. We think we could fix the problem. We think we could turn them into good people if we just show them the way. And it's a gullible take. It's a blue pill take, and it's not reality. It's never going to happen. I mean, there are a few people who see the way, but they don't see the way because one person forced it upon them, or one person talked them into it. No, it's a change is a sudden but gradual thing. You have to be opened up to it. You have to be ready to accept it. And all too often, people who are behaving in a shitty manner, they're not ready to open up to it. And so, for the longest time, I blamed myself. I shared in some responsibility that I picked this abuser to be in my life, and that I didn't do enough to protect myself from this person. And I found myself intertwined with them for a very long period of time. I blamed myself and my picker. And you know what? I did. I shared some responsibility for that. It was my fault. I could have left at any time. I could have thrown them out of my life at any time. Yeah, there were certain costs to that, but it just depends on, when sometimes we are left with two really horrible decisions. We could take one bad path or another bad path, and sometimes that's life. That's what responsibility is. So, to bring it back to my colleague, I really just became exhausted with trying to be the responsible one in my workplace, with being the one that I knew if I behaved as poorly as this other person that I would not keep my job, and that the only reason this person was allowed to keep their job as long as it was is they have manipulated every other one of us to take part of the responsibility for their bad behavior. And I just wasn't going to do it anymore. So, as a culture, we need to ask ourselves, the last thing we want to do is create a situation in which people starve or die or suffer. We have empathy. And really, I think that's my thesis here, is that I think empathy is the antithesis to responsibility. It's both the cure and the problem. So when people are negating their responsibility to face their consequences, we want to be empathetic and help them from getting hit too hard by the consequences of life. And we want to be empathetic toward them. But all too often, that comes from a lack of empathy from those people. They don't care that we are doing without. They don't care that the rest of us are trying to be responsible for our own actions. They don't care that the rest of us have created a life for ourselves because we've built it out of being responsible. And that the only reason we are able to kind of give them the attention that they need is because we've crafted some sort of stability in our own life amidst the chaos of their life. I mean, we all know these chaotic people, and we have empathy for them, but we have to stop and ask how much empathy they have. It's a messed up situation. So, again, to bring it back to this abortion rights debate, I'm seeing a lot of lack of empathy on Twitter. Today Mark Hamill tweeted out just mockery of the concept of adoption. A guy who became famous for his role as a young man who was adopted by his aunt and uncle. That was the role he became famous for, but, he's going to mock adoption. It's unempathetic. And, I don't care if, yeah, sure, are there some predators who manipulate the foster care and adoption system in order to find children to abuse? Because that's really what he was saying there. Yeah, I'm sure some of those people exist. I'm not saying that they don't. But do you not have empathy for the parents who were trying? For the millions and millions of adoptive parents who stuck their neck out, who prayed for a child, and this is the only way in which they could leave a legacy on the next generation? No empathy whatsoever. Nope, it's ridicule. ridicule the concept of responsibility because you're so wound up in the political football that is this whole freaking abortion debate that you just have no empathy for the other side. It makes me very sad to think about. If we were all a little more empathetic toward the people who deserve our respect and a little less empathetic toward the people who want to just shirk responsibility and manipulate people. But that's just it. That's part of empathy is you don't really get to choose, you know? You don't really get to choose who gets to suffer, cuz that's kind of a shitty thing too, is just saying, yeah, you deserve to suffer. Nobody really deserves to suffer, but you know what? If you put yourself there, maybe you don't deserve to have someone else pull you out of there. Maybe you don't deserve the ability to manipulate people. And I'm sure I'm just ranting at this point, and I apologize to y'all if this is getting a little off the cuff here. But it frustrated me, and I wanted to engage some of you in a conversation. Tell me I'm wrong. Please tell me I'm wrong. Please tell me that the number of empathetic people versus the number of irresponsible people. Tell me that there are still people who care about responsibility and empathy and not irresponsibility and manipulation. Because sometimes it's hard to see. It's hard to see the forest from the trees. It's hard to see people who actually give a shit. And don't get me wrong, the people I've surrounded myself in my life, my friends and family, they tend to, you know, the people in my everyday friends and family circle, they tend to be the responsible ones. They tend to be the empathetic ones. But, when I look across even my own city in a broad spectrum, I see a lot of people who want to take advantage of things and you know, just tell me that the people in your life aren't like the people I see on a daily basis. Uh, when I'm out and about in public or when I'm scrolling the Twitter feeds, you know, I get it. Twitter's the garbage of the internet, and you shouldn't base your opinion on society on what you see on Twitter, and I try not to, but I see enough people trying to shirk their responsibility, trying to dodge their responsibility, and who aren't willing to take just a modicum of effort in preventing their own fate. You know, I'm not saying using a condom is the only way. There are 15 different methods of avoiding pregnancy. I once knew a guy, he and his girlfriend only had oral sex. They would never have penetrative sex. And there were, all kinds of reasons for that. I'm not going to get into their personal reasons, but there were reasons for that, and their relationship worked. They were able to have a sex life without having penetrative sex. And if they could do it, other people could do it. If your concern is that you don't want children, there are ways to avoid that. If your concern is that you don't want to get fired from a job, there are ways to do that. But having unprotected sex, vaginal intercourse with other fertile people isn't a right. Being late to work 4 hours twice a week for 2 years straight isn't a right. Having other people stand between you and your superiors who would punish you, or having other people adopt your child, or having other people ignore the fact that you've done something irresponsible. Those are people with empathy. The people who want to help you escape your responsibility, they have empathy. Your behavior shouldn't be tolerated. And unfortunately, we live in a society where it's human. Humans make mistakes. Lord, have I heard that over and over again? And I've made mistakes too. I don't claim to be perfect. I'm not the perfect employee at my workplace. Just because I have a problem with this other person doesn't mean I haven't done some of the same things that they have done. But I then don't make it other people's problem. I then don't make it, I don't flaunt when I can get away with it. I don't try to make it the norm. My irresponsibility, as much as I've had some, my own mistakes, as much as I have had them, I use those things as motivation to be better. We all should use our faults as motivation to be better, not as, hey, look what I got away with. Now I'm going to do it again and push the line even further. That's a scumbag move there. But all too often, we have people in society, that's what they want. So it is what it is. Anyway, I'm just ranting at this point. I'm going to go ahead and let you all off the hook. Sorry I got so deep. If you have your own opinion, leave it down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button, click the share button, share it with your friends. Ask them what they think about responsibility and empathy. Start a deep conversation with your loved ones. If you want more of my future content, click the bell for notifications and click that subscribe button, and it'll be easier to find on YouTube. If you could do whatever you can to help me in the algorithm, I might try to make this a more frequent thing here. So between my reviews and my rants on society, I'm going to ramp up this channel, and pretty soon I may consider doing the whole face reveal and start doing actual videos where you could see me talking to you and see me ranting at you. But really, what I'd rather have is a second person here where I could bounce things off of and converse with. So I may look into having some guests on the channel, and we'll get some growth going on. But as for now, it is what it is. I had to rant about some things that were concerning me. I didn't know if they were concerning you, but, like I said, leave me a comment, let me know, and I'll catch you next time. Thank you very much.